Welcome to Theology Unplugged. I'm Michael Patton, and we have got a special broadcast today where I'm going to be going over something I've been writing lately about myself. I feel the need to do this because it's gotten so much attention, and it's just what people are whenever they watch my show, whenever they read my blog, whenever they're on Patreon, they're probably thinking about this. And I not only want to explain what I did, but also kind of some precursors to understanding why I did it. There's a lot of people that are responding to a blog that I wrote recently called Physically Overweight and Spiritually Underweight, Chronicles of My Shame. Now, if you've followed me for very long, you know that I will expose or I will share parts of myself. It's kind of a self-defense mechanism as well. I don't want to ever be hiding anything. I mean, there's things that, it's not as if I tell everything. There's things that I do keep back, but for the most part, things that I think are character flaws within me. It's not as if I talk about them all the time. I try to keep it about, 5 or 10% of the time. And I do it very intentionally, not only for you guys, but for myself, because I need this to stay humble. I need to have a correct view of myself if I'm ever going to change and get any better. And if I believe that here's one saying that I've kind of gone off of for years, and you've probably heard me say it, but it goes like this, and it's not a right saying, it's a wrong saying. It's something we do wrong. It goes like this: you are not what you are what you think other people think you are. I've said this like 2 or 3 times over the last couple of months on my broadcast. You are not what you are what you think other people think you are. This is an idea of self-perception. Self-perception often comes based upon what you think other people think about you, not what other people think about you, which is wrong enough, but what you think other people think about you, which is probably wrong, or it's not always right. And so this is something I've struggled with because I do have that flaw. I have a self-perception that I look out to you guys. I look out to the people that follow me, and I wonder what they think about me. And if they think that I'm, something special or whatever else, I might think I'm something special. And it's like I need to keep myself humbled, because if I just only share about myself, as a leader, okay, this is as a leader, and I don't mean to sound arrogant or anything by saying I'm a leader, but I've had quite a few followers over the years. Lost most of them whenever I got on drugs for a while, but we used to have 3 million followers on Theology Unplugged and 4 million followers on the blog, and that has dropped by about 80%. And I understand why. I mean, I haven't been active until recently, very active. And, I got off the drugs, 6 years ago now. So it has been a while, but, it really messed me up in a lot of ways. And so I revealed that. That's something I did reveal about my drug problem. Even whenever I was in the middle of it, I talked about it with you guys because I want to be real. Now, some people are getting angry with me because I just wrote a blog called Physically Overweight. Let me go to it here. It's called Physically Overweight and Spiritually Underweight. Let me see if I can get to it. Okay, here we go. And in this blog, I talked about my weight problems. Now, obviously, weight problems, it's one of those things that you can't really hide anyway. There's a lot of things that you can have problems with that the Bible says there are sins that go before you to heaven, so are known before you go to heaven, but there are often sins that follow, and those are the things that people don't see. And so the idea is that God is going to expose everything about us. Now, as Christians, of course, believers in Christ, we are forgiven for those things, but at the same time, this is something that we as Christians should always be working on. David often talked about his secret sins. Reveal to me, Lord, my secret sins. We need to know ourselves. It's a dictum. I think it was Plato that for Socrates that first came up with know thyself. Of course, this is something that we should always be striving to, but at the same time, it's very hard to. I don't know myself very well. Me and my sister, we both we're very open with each other, and we're always talking about our problems and how to the things that we're going through to be fixing these problems. We think we have some enlightenments all the time and epiphanies, and hey, I think this is how I am. This is the problem that I have. This is why I am the way we are. We go back in family history, we go back in events in our lives, and we look at psychological issues. We overanalyze ourselves. And I do admit I am somebody who is very, very introspective. And I'm not telling you everybody has to be as introspective as I am, but I'm very introspective. And I used to years ago, all the way from growing up, from about 18, 19 years old until I was close to 40 years old, I was very, very in shape. And I worked out a whole lot. I actually used to help people for a long time with if they were overweight. I would, get them on a program. I've got a program. I've got a PowerPoint presentation I could show you. I got everything. I don't know how many times I've shown it. I've shown it at churches. I've shown it at seminary. I've shown it just to my family. These are things that I used to do all the time. And I was kind of known as a guy that was very physically fit. And I was. I mean, I had like 6% body fat, and I kept it at that. And one of the reasons why I did this, and I revealed this in my blog, was because whenever I was young, from about 8 to 13, whenever I was 13, I changed a lot, grew up a lot, and went on a massive diet. But I was overweight, and I got called names, and it was a terrible time. I mean, I wish I should bring up some pictures. I've got some somewhere, but you can see me as young and overweight. And it wasn't a good time in my life. One time I was walking through class in 7th grade. I was handing the teacher a note. I don't know what, maybe I was a counselor's aide or something, it seems like, but I went and handed the teacher a note, and I was walking off, and the whole class just started cracking up. And I thought they were laughing at me like I did something funny, because I was always the funny guy. And I love to be the funny guy. Still do. I'm not that funny, but I love to try. And then later on, I found out from a friend that was in the class. I said, why'd they all laugh? What did I do that was so funny? And they said, well, the teacher said, there goes the Goodyear blimp. And that really, really hurt. I mean, that was something that was deep within me. That's something I used to cry. I used to pray to the Lord, why am I like this? Why do all my friends have girlfriends and no girls like me? I used to ask girls, if you're my age, you'll know what this means. But I used to ask girls to go with me, right? You just tell people, hey, will you go with me? I don't know what that meant. I mean, I don't know what it meant then, but it meant you were dating. You were committed to each other, as young people. And I always wanted to go with somebody. It's because it was always, who are you going with? And I could never get anybody to go with me. The only one time this girl, she was pretty creative in it, acted like she didn't know what go with meant. I know she did, but whenever I was in 4th grade, I said, hey, will you go with me to this girl? Jennifer Nelson. I don't know. She'll probably never see this, but it was Jennifer Nelson. And she said, go with me where? Go with you where? And I was like, oh, gosh, that was a good question. To the skating rink. And then at the skating rink, I remember being there, and all my friends were there, Christy and Meredith and all of her friends. And I asked her to couple skate with me. And she ran and hid. And all of her friends were yelling at her, going, come on, just do it. And, it hurt me deep down inside. I mean, I was really just waiting to see her answer, hoping her friends would talk her into couple skating with me, but she wouldn't. I used to pull out I don't know why I'm telling you so much of this. This is just stuff I remember, but I used to pull out the, what was it? The book with everybody's name and number from school. And I used to literally go down and look for the girls. I would call them and ask them to go with me. I was desperate to go with somebody. I remember one time my friend, I heard him, and he was talking to this girl named Meredith, one of my best friends ever. She ended up being one of my best friends ever, but he was talking to her, and he was my best friend, and he was on the phone with her, and he was trying to get Meredith to go with me. And I heard him go, I was in the bathroom hiding, listening. And I heard him go, that's not fat, it's all muscle. And I was so happy he said that. He was fighting for me. It didn't work out, but I ended up losing all the weight. And that time affected me. Now, not only that, I mentioned this in the blog. I'll try to put in the notes the blog. But not only did that affect me, but sorry, I'm just getting back to myself. But there was it affected me to the degree that I really, for the rest of my life, I decided I was never going to be fat again. That was a big deal to me. It really was. My whole family, and this is hard to put. I mean, I don't know really how to put it, but my whole family was very, very beautiful and knew it. Okay. I mean, the Patton family was known. My dad, my mom was absolutely stunningly gorgeous everywhere she went, guys whistling at her, and and she loved it. She was just like other women. You love the kind of attention. And she loved it. I watched it. My sisters were blow away stunning. I mean, they really were. And everybody loved them. All the guys used to come over to our house and try to become friends with me. The older guys, because I had two older sisters and one younger sister. The older guys used to come over to my house, and I'd let them ride my motorcycle, my YZ80, and we'd drive around the neighborhood so that they would be friends with me. But they were doing it so that they could possibly see Angie or Christy. And so that's the kind of life I lived. But anytime somebody would meet me, my dad looked like Tom Selleck. He really did. And he actually, I swear to God, I'm telling you the truth here. He actually drove the exact Ferrari 308 that Tom Selleck drove. And I'm not talking about this is the exact kind. He drove one of them. He bought one of the ones that they used on the set because he knew he looked like Tom Selleck and he liked to drive around looking like Tom Selleck. But it was very hard on me because people would come to me and they'd say, once they found out I was a Patton, they would always say, "What happened to you?" That was hard. Now, whenever I lost the weight, everything changed. I I I I looked like a Patton at least. And so that affected me too. And it was just terrible because the hurt and the pain, the whole family really focused upon looks so much, being known for looks so much. Drove me to a lot of problems, a lot of sins, a lot of kind of proving myself after I lost the weight. And that lasted from 13 to 20 to 21, whenever I, really committed myself over to the Lord. And I thought I quit caring about it so much. I really did. I mean, I just thought, well, that's behind me. Thank you, Lord, for letting me go through that. I'll have compassion for the rest of my life on people who need to lose weight. Every time I see somebody in this convenience store or anywhere, I would pray for them in my mind. I promise I would. I still do. But it's something I know the pain. I know the difficulty. I know the shame. You cannot hide it. You can hide all kinds of other problems you have, all kinds of other sins you have. And I'm not necessarily saying this is a sin. I mean, there's issues involved there, but it is something we feel completely guilty about whenever we are overweight and we don't want people to see. Now, going from being overweight to really skinny and being a Patton and doing what I did, being known for what I was a carouser. I was debauched. I was sleeping around all the time. It was just, again, proving myself. I love the Lord at the time, but I just told the Lord, listen, I'll be back soon. I promise. I just got to do these things. I got to prove myself to my dad and to everybody. I mean, of course, that's what I shouldn't have done, but I did. And so that's how I lived for a long time. And losing all the weight uh, and keeping fit that time, working out all the time, always, being low body fat percentage. That's just what I did for a long time. It was something that I didn't think would ever change. And then whenever in 2009 or 2010, right around that time, I started gaining weight. And, I said, man, I'm doing the same type of stuff. What's the problems? And I kind of went into panics about it. Didn't gain that much weight, maybe 20, 30 pounds or so. I mean, for me, that's not that much. I can put on 20 or 30 pounds and it's not a big deal. But, it just kept on going. And then whenever I got on the drugs, I don't know that the drugs did, I think, affect my weight, but I was already heading up for some reason. Again, around, 35, 40 years old, right in between that time. And I don't know whether I used to think, man, this is because I'm depressed because of what happened to Angie, what happened to my mom. My aunt sister Angie committed suicide. My mom had a massive brain aneurysm and lost all abilities. My dad was a drunk. He ended up drinking himself to death. All of these things happened, and I thought, this is the way I'm dealing with it. Somehow, I must be just eating to deal with it. And maybe that is it. I mean, that's very possible that it was. Now, to make a long story short, we go all the way until today, and then my weight was up so high. I mean, I could barely walk. Where's some pictures? I need to show you guys pictures. I'm going to try to get these pictures on here. I don't want to show you. I don't, but this is part of my process I'm going through to let you see what I look like. Let's see here. I mean, obviously, I can show you myself right now, but I was bigger a year ago and 4 years ago. I went through a process where I lost weight and then gained it back. But let me see if I can find some photos. Hold on just a minute. This is part of the reason why I did plan on sharing. I just forgot to get these up and ready, but this is part of what I think I need to do for myself. Just kind of put myself out there and quit hiding. I shaved today because I usually wear a goatee because I think it makes my face look thinner. I wear black. I didn't change that because I don't have many other shirts besides black, but I wear black because I don't want people to see the shadows. I'm in hiding. Part of what I put here is how much I'm in hiding, how much I don't want to go places. My daughter, Caitlin, wrote on social media somewhere, or maybe it's in the family chat. I don't remember, but it affected me a lot because she said, I miss my daddy. He used to do things with us in the family. And that is right. She is right. I used to, and I don't anymore. I'm scared. Now, all of this, let me show you a picture. I would throw it over here, but I'm just going to try to show it to you here. This is very embarrassing. I haven't even showed my family any of this stuff, but that's what I look like right there. I mean, that was, that was whenever I was around 400 pounds. That's a lot. I mean, I know it's very embarrassing. I was around 400 pounds. I was actually, let me get this straight. At one time, the doctor's office, I could show you the note. It says 420 pounds. I got on let me just say this. This is really quick. It's part of the Chronicles. But I got on a sleep apnea machine. I was in the hospital over, and I was about to die. I was very close to being about to die for a long time, even after the drugs. And we could not figure out what I was doing. I was sleepwalking everywhere. I was never getting any sleep. So therefore I was sleepwalking. While I sleptwalk, I did crazy things that should have killed me. Lots of stuff like sticking a knife into a toaster. Well, who does that? Why would you do that? I don't even understand that. I mean, it looks like from any angle I was trying to kill myself. I mean, why else would you do that? It's weird. But I also made chocolate ammonia. I poured a glass of ammonia, put chocolate powder in it, mixed it up, and drank it. Luckily, while I was sleepwalking, I drank a little sip, and it woke me up. And I was like, what in the world am I doing? Went over to a neighbor's house in the middle of the night, tried to get in their house. I was driving one time whenever I sleepwalking over and over again. I could tell you, I should be dead. I should be dead. Nobody could diagnose what it was. Every doctor, I went to every doctor, every hospital. I got so many hospital bills behind me that are just built up. I mean, it's ridiculous. You wouldn't believe it. But I was diagnosed finally a year. It was a year and about 3 months ago. Year and 3 months ago, I went to a doctor, and a nephrologist came in. He's a real nice guy, great doctor. I mean, he's very kind, but he was so definite about what my problem is. He just said, you have sleep apnea, and it's causing every one of your problems. And so I was like, okay. I mean, I didn't have insurance that would pay for it. There was nice enough to have somebody donate. I actually got two machines, sleep apnea machines, were donated to me. And I thank you guys so much, because that was a year and a half ago. And right whenever I started using that, I started losing weight. So maybe I was sleepwalking and eating at the same time. I don't know, but I've lost a lot of weight without trying very much. I've lost about 80, 90 pounds. So I'm down into the, lower mid 300s. I think 332 was the last time I did it. I'm not sure. Seems like I'm probably about the same right now, but that's where I'm at. And I'm still scared to go out in front of people. I have a self-perception that is based upon what other people think of me. And I'm scared. I'm scared for you guys to see me. I'm scared for all of my friends that I used to know that thought I was cool, that thought I was, I was the person who could get the girls. I'm scared about that. My wife is absolutely stunningly beautiful. I'm scared for her to be seen with me because I don't want to look like a charity case. Now, I put this all out there, but I don't want you to think this defines my life. It doesn't. There's a lot more to me. There's a lot more that I think about. I don't sit around and cry about it. It is the number one thing I'm trying to overcome for sure. But at the same time, I'm not like suicidal or something. The problem is whenever you're revealing yourself, this is a key, and I want you to listen to this. The problem is whenever you reveal yourself, whenever you are transparent, a lot of times it sets off the alarm for many people. And I understand what you're talking about because we're not normally transparent. We don't normally show other people. If we're stable, we normally don't show other people the dirt in our lives. We don't let them see a true mirror of ourselves. We put on a mask and we try to look the best, especially church. Church is the worst for this. I'm sorry to say this, but church is a horrible place to go most of the time if you want to really get to know people. People put on masks before they go to church and they become somebody different. Why? Because if you do what I'm doing right now, people will look at you and say, man, you got some problems, even though they've got some problems too if they were revealed. I often say it'd be a great thing if everywhere we walked, we had a t-shirt on. I don't have to put a t-shirt on for being fat. It's already exposed. But we had a t-shirt on that had all of our sins, whatever they may be, lust and pride and arrogance and just everything that was listed there. And then we would all be much more comfortable around each other because it's exposed. It's out in the open. And becoming real is part of the commandments of God. Whenever he says you shall not bear false witness, that goes so much deeper than just saying a lie. It goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden, whenever Adam and Eve began to cover themselves because they were ashamed. That's what they said. The first thing they did, the first sin that mankind did was cover himself, was try to put on a veneer of appearance to hide the wrong in his life. And we've been doing it ever since. And this is a big reason why I do this. I don't want to set off any alarms. I want you guys to get to know me and know this is just how I am. And I hope whenever I reveal these things, my struggles, not just, sometimes we give testimonies, and they're great testimonies. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but sometimes we give testimonies, and those testimonies go like this: who you were before, what happened to get your change started, and then who you are now. And usually it's a nice bow, it's a big present that's wrapped up in a nice bow. The tapes put it on all right. The bow goes all around, and it's, professionally done, and you hand it to somebody else and you say, here I am now, and you're speaking to an audience, and the audience says, wow, that person's changed a lot. That is a great thing. I could do one of those with the drug addiction, but most of the time, whenever we present the present, we don't present everything because we still got problems in our life. We still got struggles. We still are people currently involved in sin, wrestling with our old nature, trying to figure our own sin out. And so we can never present ourselves as a person that has overcome. And that's one of the things that I want to do here is from the top down, from a leadership position, say, here's who I really am. Have courage to be who you really are. And here it is. Here's the key of what I'm talking about today. I know I've gone 29 minutes. This is the key. The key is that I feel I'm not revealing to you that I'm fat and this is the sin. That's true. And I do think it's wrong. And I've got to get it fixed. Okay. I do have to get it fixed. You can go over, I've got page, a YouTube page called Operation 200. Operation 200. Look that up on YouTube because it's the Operation 200. I'm getting down to 200 pounds, and I'm trying to get 100 people to follow me on YouTube. And if I have 100 people, I think it'll push me a little bit more. I'm just doing everything. The alarm is set off with me. I'm doing everything I can to get this problem under control. But here's my sin I'm revealing, not the sin of being overweight. The sin I am revealing right now is that I am completely controlled by this perception, people's perception of me, not my spirituality, but how overweight I am. I am completely controlled because I'm scared to death. People will see me just like I showed you this. I don't want that to be seen. Do I have a before picture? I don't have a before picture. That'd be stupid. I mean, you guys see me before on all the videos. I mean, here's the problem: is everybody comes up to me and says, everybody in their mind, whenever they see me now, basically says, "What happened to that guy? Isn't that Michael Patton? Didn't he used to, be like this? Talk about fitness, have these, be a fitness trainer for years. And didn't he train me one time to lose weight and tell me what to do? Why can't he do it?" It's absolutely embarrassing. And I'm controlled by that. And I that's the thing that I struggle with the Lord about. I can't understand why I'm controlled by that. I can't understand why it's so important to me. Why I get scared. Whoever will watch these things that just saw this picture, I'm scared to death of people seeing this picture. I don't want them to see it. And so it's like, why can't I just be, let's say that I can't lose the weight. I've done something wrong to lose the weight. Obviously, I've overeaten. In the end, that's it. Or I've eaten the wrong things that's caused me to overeat. Now, I'm not trying to pass blame, but just think of this. Maybe God allowed me to get like this to reveal the problem, my massive problem of self-perception. Here's the hardest thing for me to tell you on the planet right now. I don't go to church. I'm scared to go to church. I can go to places that I've never been and I'll be fine, but all the regular churches that I'm involved in, I don't go. And I know what a lot of y'all are thinking. Well, golly, I mean, that's a big spiritual problem. And I say, yes, it is. I know it is. I mean, I'm not trying to jump on people that don't go to church. Maybe there's not a good church around. There's all kinds of reasons, but a lot of times this is it. You're scared. You don't want people to see it. We're controlled by self-perception. And I don't want people to say, what happened to that guy? He must have gone through massive depression. He must have the reason why I say this is because I've seen, I can think of 3 people. I'm not going to name them. I can think of 3 people that I saw that were these people, at least, were stunningly beautiful people. And then they have gained a lot of weight. And I've seen that. And whenever I see them, the first thing I think is what happened to that person. And one of them, I remember they were depressed. No, 2 of them. 2 of them went through massive depression. And I think, oh man, their depression must have got to them. And maybe it did. And maybe it did with me. I just don't want people saying that. I don't want people thinking that. And I'm controlled by that. And that is the sin. That is the problem. I'm controlled by that. I'm controlled by who I think you guys think I am. Who I think you guys, what I think you guys think I've become and why. I'm controlled by that. I'm not controlled by the Lord. This is confession hour right here. Okay. Again, I'm confessing, but this is just part of the way I do things. I'm happy to do this right now. I am. I'm getting it out of the way because this is part of healing for me. This is going out there and admitting my problem. Stop hiding it. My problem is not just the weight loss, but what the weight loss is revealed about my character. And if God has done this so that I can see my character, I have to see this as a blessing because I don't want to live. I must have been all those years, from 13 to 35, for all those years, I must not have, there was a festering spiritual problem underneath that I did not know was there and was not revealed until I gained the weight. And here's what I read yesterday, or was it today? I forget. No, it was today, actually. Today in my Bible reading. Christ said, do not love your enemies. He says, love your enemies. And he says, what reward, what greatness is there whenever you love people that already love you? But if you love your enemies, that's an awesome thing. Now, I take that and I take the principle and I say this: what good is it for me to just be in good shape and not recognizing it and preaching and teaching and having this festering problem? One of the blessings that God gave me is he gave me this hard thing, this people who don't like me type thing, love your enemies. This is my enemy. It's revealed to me. And I have to see it as a blessing. Just like every enemy in my life, I have to see it as a blessing because it is an opportunity to love those who don't love us, or in this case, to see the sin that is deep down inside me and overcome it. And I don't want it festering anymore. I don't want to be like this. All I can say right now is I want you guys to pray for me about this. I do. But I hope it helps you in some way, where we're all going through the same problems. We're all living in sinful life. We're all living in, these sinful bodies that are just absolutely broken. And we have not overcome. We don't have a nice present to give to anybody, but we are overcomers. We are overcoming. That we're working on these things, and we fall down and we get back up. I lost some followers. I think the reason why I lost followers, not because I was overweight. I wrote a new blog. Let me show you. This new blog kind of drove people to the other blog. Oh, I got to redo this. But I wrote a new blog that talks about people that left my Patreon. My Patreon is where I get my support for ministry, and I appreciate every one of my patrons. They're so great, and that is how I live. And you allow me to do ministry, to start doing this, and you look at me and you know who I am, and you still support me. And I love you for it. Thank you so much. So I wrote a new blog, and this is it, right? Right here. It's called On Losing Followers Due to My Last Post. And in this post is basically me talking through what I just did. I probably should have just had that up and have you guys listen to it, but about knowing yourself and about the passages in the Bible that talk about our secret sins and the way that God must reveal them, and the prayers in the Psalms for God to bring out our secret sins. And how nothing that Luke 12:2, nothing that is concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. We are people who hide. We are people who put fig leaves on, and we're scared around everybody. And let me tell you something. Yes, I lost followers. I lost patrons. And probably because I said I don't go to church. I imagine that's it. I don't think I lost them because they said I was overweight. But I lost patrons because they came to know the real me. And I could lose every single one of my patrons, but I have to be myself. Now, you might say, Michael, you don't have to reveal this. I know I don't. I'm not telling everybody to go around being a basket case, revealing to everybody everything about themselves. But what I am saying is people in leadership positions, they need to devote a lot of time, 5 to 10% of their time, I believe this, to revealing who they are, who they really are, their real struggles, things, whatever is the hardest for you to reveal, that's probably what you need to reveal. I got this from a pastor that you guys probably know, Chuck Swindoll. I saw him do this in his ministry continually. Oh, let me get back to myself. I saw him do this in the ministry continually. He would, every time he'd preach on something, he would tell something. I say, I can't believe he's telling us this. I'm so happy he is. I remember one time, I've shared this before, but it stands out the most, whenever he was teaching on marriage. And so it was a new series that was starting, and how to have a good marriage. And he started by saying, let me tell you guys something. I have a decent marriage. No, I didn't say a good marriage. No, I didn't say a great marriage. I have a decent marriage. And sometimes it's bad. And I thought, golly, I mean, what are people going to think? They must think, okay, then this isn't going to work, whatever you're getting ready to tell us. But at the same time, all it did to me was draw me to him, because I knew at that point, I'm getting to know the real him, the real Chuck Swindoll. People do not offer this kind of stuff, this kind of dirt about themselves lightly. And usually whenever they offer it, almost, I'd say 99.9% of the time, it's going to be true, because people do not they do not give out damaging, discrediting information about themselves. They don't uncover the fig leaves. They keep the fig leaves on all the time. Whenever the fig leaves are uncovered, you can bet that whatever they say is true. But here's what it does for me. Here's what it did for me with Chuck. I said, my goodness, every time I hear him, I'm not getting a presentation that is a lie, that is a fabrication, that is something trying to make himself look better than he actually is. He will show the real him, and getting to know the real people is a huge thing. I mean, whenever you've been around liars, whenever you've been around people you don't know whether you can believe what they say, it is a worthless relationship. It is absolutely nothing. You have no idea who you're talking to. But whenever you really do get to know somebody, that is part of the image of God. God created us to have fellowship with each other, to come to know the real people. I think that's the image. Whenever we were all naked, whenever Adam and Eve whenever God created us. I'm not saying we're supposed to get rid of all our clothes, but I'm just saying we don't cover up things that give us shame. But why? Because God wants us to live like he lives in the Trinity, but his relationship within the Trinity, none of them wear fig leaves around each other. They all know each other. It is completely exposed. One God, three persons. All of them have a relationship, and whenever we strive for relationships, we are doing this because we are in God's image. This is something that it's this is a very hard thing, like I said, for me to do, but this is so necessary. I think leaders need to reveal things about themselves. I think we can sometimes shock people. When another illustration of this real quickly, and I'm going to end this because we're almost to 45 minutes. But whenever I was going through AA, whenever I was getting off the drugs, I loved AA. I really did. I loved it more than any place I'd ever been. I know a lot of people hate AA because they hate that concept and all that. Setting that aside, whenever you get in there, you hear people talking and you're getting the real thing. And there's something that you feel whenever you're sitting in the middle of that not only do you have this emotional gravitation towards it, as if it's filling a part of your soul that you didn't even know needed to be filled, like a desert. You're getting water, something is happening, but you are drawn yourself to share also. You want to share who you really are. And it's maybe this one place that many people, and people will say this at AA, this is the only place I can tell people this. You guys are the only ones who will accept me. Everybody else, anywhere I go, will reject me because of this, but I have to have a place to reveal it. That's why it works. It works because the fellowship, not simply because of the 12 steps, but because of the fellowship that you have within that, because of the honesty, because of you are not bearing false witness to your neighbor. You are taking off your fig leaf. And I think we need to intentionally take off our fig leaves. That's what I'm doing. Even if I lost followers, I lost patrons. Even if I lost patrons, I got to keep doing it. I do, because it's who I am. I don't want to hide stuff from people. So 5 or 10% of my ministry, I'll always be telling you what I'm going through, who I am. You'll know me. There's some things, of course, that I'm not going to be a basket case. I don't throw up every time. I'm teaching you theology for the most part, but sometimes I do this kind of stuff. and I'm not going to be a basket case. There are things that I don't share that I think are improper. Like if I'm having trouble with my marriage, which I do have trouble with my marriage, just like anybody else, but that's a little harder too because it's a place where you're trying to get choose sides and stuff, and it just doesn't work to reveal current situations in your marriage that you're going through. You can reveal it to people that are close to, and you need to, but not in public like this. But I do think we need to, as leaders, start revealing ourselves more honestly. I cannot stand whenever leaders get up and they are always the good illustration for what they're preaching on. They always have everything right. I think as a preacher, as a teacher, as a leader, you should never, ever, ever be the good illustration. I'm not saying just because of arrogance, but just because of what it does to you and how that works. And it's not effective to be the good illustration. Normally, whenever I'm preaching on something, just about anything that is something you need to change your life on, it is something that I have a bad illustration about myself that I can reveal. That's embarrassing, but I need to do that. I need to do that for my sake, and I need to do it for your sake. So this is, the fat theologian. That's what I called it. I forgot. Maybe that wasn't the best, but I am not going to stay the fat theologian. If you go over to YouTube, go to Operation 200, you will see my progress. I need to get to 100 people. So please do that. I'm sorry to act like it depends on that. It doesn't. Yeah, it does in some way, because that's what I committed to my mind. 100 people will keep me honest, will keep me going. Otherwise, I fall back into old patterns. But I'll give you updates on my weight loss and what I'm doing and kind of the studies I've done on dieting. But this has been the fat theologian. I'm not going to call myself that. That is not going to be the name of it. The new, Theology Unplugged. We're not changing it to the fat theologian. It's kind of funny and it'd probably work, but I'm not going to stay fat. That's the deal. Maybe if I just can't lose weight and I'm stay fat, we'll talk about that. But I don't accept it. I do not think you should accept unhealthy situations, but at the same time, I'm not saying it was a sin. We got problems within our lives and patterns that we build, and sometimes it is just plain old sin, plain old gluttony. But it's a lot more complicated than that, and I empathize with you if you have struggles with weight. But I empathize with you more if you have struggles with self-image. This usually happens with women a lot more than men. So I understand it. And I thank you for joining us. I do ask, speaking of, I do ask that you'd support this stream. This is my patron. If you like what I'm doing, if you want to become a patron, you get all kinds of gifts. It's purely worth it to become a patron. But you can become a patron that supports me, just on the real base $3 level or all the way up to $1,000. We've got patrons. So thank you so much for being a patron. Please do that if you believe in what I'm doing. There's lots of stuff that I'm doing with Credo House and with Theology Unplugged and with Credo courses. Big things coming in my way, coming along, but it doesn't come along without money. It just doesn't. So, we keep status quo right now, but we need more support in order to pull off what we're trying to pull off, like starting a new Credo House coffee shop and doing an animated theology program, going through all of theology in an animated way, like the Bible Project's done. I want to do that. That's part of my goal. So I set that out for you. Just make sure that you become a member at some level. That is encouraging, and make sure you sign up at Operation 200 on YouTube. Other than that, I think I'm done. I think I'm out. I think I've told you just about everything that I need to tell you and who I am. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you understood it. Please make comments and let me know what you think. Let me know if this helped you. That a lot of people are giving really great comments, but a lot of people say, you shouldn't have revealed this. It's not a good idea. You need to be more tempered in your revelation. I understand what you're saying if you believe that, but and I'd like to hear it. It's not as if I think this. I'm 100% sure that this is the right way to do it. But this is the end. Theology Unplugged.